Welcome back to Mission of the Chosen. Today we enter a message that will shake the dust off your soul, reveal what has been hidden in silence, and call you back to your mantle of authority. This is not entertainment, it's an unveiling. Before we begin, let me say this. Our family here is growing faster than ever, and sometimes it feels like the notifications are overflowing. Don't let that worry you. You are here at the exact moment you're meant to be, and this word is not late, it's right on divine time. Now listen closely. The struggle you've been feeling lately, that strange fatigue that doesn't match your effort, that heavy fog that seems to linger even when life looks fine on the outside, it isn't just stress, and it isn't just bad days. It's targeted. It's been an intentional attack on your identity, carried out in silence so you wouldn't even realize what was happening. And the enemy didn't start by going for your money, your career, or even your emotions. He went for your crown, because if your crown is weakened, your authority fades. If your authority fades, your destiny can be delayed, and once you forget who you are, the blessings written in your book can pass by without you ever stepping into them. The Bible has never treated the head lightly. David was anointed with oil poured over his head, and from that moment the Spirit of the Lord rested on him. Ezekiel was lifted by a lock of hair, a moment that reminds us God doesn't waste detail. Jesus himself said, "Every hair on your head is numbered," and Luke records the promise, "Not a hair of your head will perish." These aren't pretty metaphors, they are signals that what rests on your head carries heavenly weight. So what is this crown I'm speaking of? It is your hair, but not as fashion, not as vanity, not as an accessory. It is mantle, it is memory, it is your shield and your signal. Heaven sees it as part of your identity, part of your assignment, part of your covenant. Each strand carries history, the prayers of ancestors, the residue of blessings spoken over you. And yes, sometimes the curse is whispered in secret. That's why the battle around it has been so fierce. The world may tell you it's just appearance, but the spiritual realm knows better. Your crown marks you as set apart. Think back. Have you ever walked into a room that looked harmless but left feeling strangely heavy, as though your light had dimmed? Or woken up exhausted after a full night's rest, as if something invisible drained you overnight? Those weren't accidents. They were quiet strikes against your crown. Because what touches the crown touches the flow of authority. This is why kings wear crowns, not simply for appearance, but as public witness of who they are and the authority they carry. And yet here you are, walking through life with a crown heaven recognizes, while you've been trained to treat it as an afterthought. But angels see it, demons see it, and heaven refuses to let you neglect what has been marked from birth. The attacks you faced haven't always come as open war. Many came as whispers, "You're not beautiful enough. You're too much. You're unworthy. You'll never fit." They sounded like passing comments, but in the unseen they were darts sent to make you hate the very mantle heaven gave you. Because if the enemy can make you curse your own crown, he never has to cut it, he makes you surrender it yourself. But listen carefully, heaven is not silent anymore. Silence was strategy. Silence drew the enemy out into the open, and now the strike has begun. Michael the archangel has stepped forward. He is not sent to comfort you, he is sent to enforce heaven's decree. He has drawn his sword against every word of shame spoken over you, every curse whispered in secret, every unseen altar where your name was defiled. The cords wrapped around your crown are breaking. The residue of exhaustion is burning away. The heaviness is lifting because heaven refuses to let your authority die in silence. But revelation always demands response. It is not enough to hear this word and admire its beauty. You must act. You must consecrate what heaven has consecrated. This is not about vanity. This is about identity. Every time you touch your hair, you're touching a mantle. Every careless word you've spoken against it was an echo of the enemy, and every blessing you release over it aligns you with the throne. If you treat your crown casually, you treat your calling casually. If you honor your crown, you honor the assignment tied to it. That is why heaven is speaking now, because delay feeds destruction. The enemy doesn't need to overpower you. He only needs you to keep waiting. But you cannot wait any longer. The atmosphere has shifted. The gate is open, but not forever. This is not about cosmetics. It is about covenant. Priests were set apart by oil poured over their heads. That act wasn't about scent, it was about ownership. From that moment, their lives were no longer their own. They were God's. That same principle rests upon you now. The crown you carry is heaven's property. To neglect it is to neglect the assignment. To guard it is to rise in the authority you were born with. And here's the truth you need to hold tight. Your crown is not fragile. It is fiercely protected. Jesus said not a hair would perish, and that wasn't poetry, it was law. It means that even what looks damaged is still under his count, still under his covering. But heaven won't fight your battles while you mock what it has marked. You must rise into agreement, speak blessing, guard your crown, carry it as a sign that you know you've been set apart. Because this war was never about appearance. It was about identity, and identity is destiny. Lift your eyes. The fog that clouded you is breaking apart. What the enemy called weakness was actually your signal of strength. Step into the weight of your mantle, and don't apologize for the fire heaven put in you. There's something about silent warfare that makes it far more dangerous than loud battles. Explosions, arguments, and obvious attacks usually awaken the fighter in you. You can see the threat, name it, and prepare, but silent warfare seeps into your life like smoke, slow, creeping, almost invisible. And by the time you notice it, it has already started shaping how you think, how you see yourself, and how you carry your calling. That's exactly why the attack against your crown didn't come with obvious weapons. It came with whispers, stares, atmospheres, tiny dismissals, little mockeries. Enough to leave residue, not enough to spark your defense. Because if the enemy can erode your sense of identity quietly, he doesn't need to confront you openly. Think of it this way. If the crown is the first line of defense, the shield and antenna heaven placed on your head, then neglect becomes the enemy's favorite tactic. When you dismiss your crown as unimportant, you leave your shield exposed. When you treat your antenna as irrelevant, you dull your ability to discern what heaven is whispering. Some of you have asked yourselves, why do I wake up drained, even after rest? Or, why do I feel unseen in rooms where I know I should shine? It's because spiritual debris has been gathering around your crown. You've walked into places that looked friendly but carried envy, jealousy, or hidden curses, and your crown absorbed it, not because you're weak, but because you're marked. The world teaches you to shrug it off. Don't overthink it. It's just in your head. But heaven says the opposite. It is on your head, and that matters. Jesus himself said the hairs of your head are numbered. That's precision, not poetry. That's heaven declaring, what I place on your crown, I will defend. And yet the enemy tries to twist that truth. He doesn't need to rip the crown away. He only needs you to believe it's common. He wants you to dismiss it as appearance, vanity, or inconvenience. If you believe it's nothing, you'll guard it like nothing. And once you stop guarding it, the interference grows. Consider Samson. His strength was tied to his locks, not because strands are magical, but because they carried covenant weight. When the covenant was tampered with, his strength faded. But when his crown began to grow again, so did his destiny. That was never about fashion. It was about alignment. And here is where your story comes in. The season where you felt overlooked, dismissed, or even invisible. It wasn't proof that you lost your worth. It was proof that the crown was under attack. What was targeted wasn't your mind first, or your body first, it was your authority. Because if your authority dims, every part of your life feels dim, even if nothing external has changed. That's why God is pulling back the veil today. He's revealing not just the warfare, but the strategy to win. Heaven doesn't expose something unless it's already providing a way forward. The way forward begins with consecration, not performance, not perfection, consecration, to set apart what has been marked, to treat your crown as holy ground, not a casual detail. What does that look like? It looks like waking up and speaking life over your crown. It looks like rejecting every word of shame ever spoken over your appearance. It looks like blessing your head before stepping into hostile spaces. It looks like reminding yourself that your hair is not a trivial detail. It is covenant, shield, antenna, and signal. This isn't superstition, it's stewardship. Because when you speak over your crown, you're speaking over your identity. You're declaring alignment. And alignment is what unlocks authority. Authority is what the enemy has feared in you from the beginning. Not your talent, not your money, not even your emotions. Authority. Because authority shifts atmospheres. Authority unlocks doors. Authority commands demons to flee. and the crown is heaven's first signal of that authority. So when you feel the heaviness, don't ask, "What's wrong with me?" Ask, "What is happening to my crown?" When you feel unseen, don't assume you've lost your shine. Remember, the crown catches fire before the body does. When the shield is dim, your light feels hidden, but when the crown is cleansed, the rest of you realigns. And here is what I want you to hold in your spirit. Heaven is already moving. You may not see it yet with your natural eyes, but in the unseen, the atmosphere around your crown is being cleared. The residue is being burned away. The cords of shame are being severed, and your sensitivity, the antenna heaven gave you, is tuning back to divine frequency. This isn't hype, it's holy order. When God restores, he starts at the top. Psalm 133 says the oil flows down from the head. Blessing begins there. That's why the enemy attacked there. But now heaven is reversing it. Alignment is returning, and once the crown is restored, everything beneath it must follow. So lift your head. Even if you don't feel it yet, lift it. You are not forgotten. You are not random. You are not unmarked. Every strand is numbered. Every strand is counted. And heaven is saying, guard the crown and watch what I unlock beneath it. Do not mistake the silence for absence. It was heaven holding its breath until now. The strike has begun, and your authority is awakening. Stand tall, because when the head rises, destiny follows. There is a reason the enemy doesn't launch open war against every believer. He knows that once you see him clearly, once you name the battle, you'll rise and fight with authority. That's why the most effective attacks are subtle ones, carried out in shadows, woven into atmospheres, whispered through people who don't even know they're being used. His goal is not to scare you, it's to slowly unravel you until you begin to accept the unraveling as normal. But heaven has never seen you as normal. Heaven has always marked you as set apart. Before you took your first breath, before your family knew your name, you were already known and appointed. That's why your life has never quite fit into the molds others tried to force you into. That's why even when people around you seemed satisfied with ordinary, you always felt the nudge of something greater. It's not arrogance, it's assignment. And because you carry that assignment, the battle over your crown has been unrelenting. When you were a child, the attacks may have come as teasing or mockery, meant to bruise your sense of identity. When you grew older, they shifted into comparison, shame, and silent rejection. At every stage, the target remained the same, your authority. Because if your crown is dimmed, your assignment slows. If your assignment slows, others tied to your destiny remain bound. That is why this is bigger than you. This isn't just about your peace of mind or your self-esteem. This is about the people your life is meant to touch, the chains your voice is meant to break, the prayers your presence is meant to answer. When your crown is weakened, their breakthrough is delayed. That's why the enemy invested so much into keeping you distracted, discouraged, and doubtful. But I need you to hear this: what has been delayed is not destroyed. What has been dimmed is not extinguished. Heaven doesn't abandon covenants. Heaven restores them. And right now, restoration is moving toward you like a rising tide. Think of it like this. A priest in the Old Testament never entered the holy place casually. They were anointed, first oil poured over their head as a visible sign of being set apart. That act declared, this one does not walk in their own strength. They walk in heaven's strength. That same declaration is on you now. Whether you feel it or not, your head has been marked, your crown has been set apart. So what do you do in response? You refuse to treat what is holy as common. You refuse to curse yourself with your own words. You refuse to agree with the shame spoken over you in childhood or the envy whispered about you as an adult. You choose instead to bless what God has blessed, to guard what heaven has sealed, to treat your crown like the living altar it is. And when you do, something shifts. The fog begins to clear. The heaviness begins to lift. The same rooms that once drained you lose their grip. The whispers that once shook you lose their sting. The words that once pierced you fall flat. Because authority doesn't beg for recognition. Authority stands, and the atmosphere adjusts. This is why the enemy fought so hard to convince you your crown was meaningless. He knew that once you recognized it, once you guarded it, once you spoke over it with life, you would walk in a level of authority he could no longer touch. So don't wait for a perfect moment. Don't wait until you feel worthy enough. Begin now. Place your hand upon your head and speak, "This crown is sacred, this crown is consecrated. I guard it with reverence." That simple act isn't superstition, it's alignment. It's a declaration to the unseen realm that you understand what you carry. Because what rests on your head is more than strands, it's more than appearance, it's covenant, it's memory, it's shield, it's signal. And when it shines, everything beneath it must fall into order. The enemy wants you to delay. Delay is his strongest weapon, because it keeps you neutral while he keeps advancing. But heaven doesn't ask you for delay, it asks for obedience. Not in years, not in decades, but now, because every moment you wait is a moment the enemy uses to whisper another lie, plant another seed, weave another layer of confusion. But when you respond, heaven responds. This is not about striving, it's about surrender. It's not about performing, it's about alignment. When you bless what heaven has already blessed, you're not creating something new, you're uncovering what was buried. You're letting light touch what shame tried to hide. And as you do, watch the ripple effect. Watch how clarity returns to your decisions. Watch how confidence rises in your voice. Watch how prayers you thought had gone unheard begin to stir again. Watch how favor that seemed blocked begins to flow. Because when the head is aligned, the body must follow. When the crown shines, everything under it is touched by the light. So lift your head, even if it feels heavy. Lift your voice, even if it feels faint. Heaven has not forgotten you. Every strand is still numbered. Every strand is still counted. And now, heaven is moving to restore what has been attacked in silence. The time for confusion is ending. The time for heaviness is closing. The time for delay is over. The strike has begun. And heaven is saying to you, rise, guard the mantle. Walk in the weight of your anointing. Because what rests on your head is not casual. It is covenant. It is not fragile. It is fiercely defended. You are not walking under shame anymore. You are walking under a seal. Do not mistake the weariness of the past season for the identity of your future. You are not fading. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are crowned, you are consecrated, and you are called. And when the crown is restored, destiny follows. The silence you carried was never abandonment, it was strategy. Heaven was waiting for the moment you would finally see. And now that your eyes are opening, there is no going back. What once was dim will blaze. What once was delayed will accelerate. What once was mocked will shine as proof of covenant. So rise into it, guard it, bless it, walk in it, because the next season of your life doesn't begin when circumstances change. It begins when you lift your head and remember what rests upon it. And now the veil is fully lifted, your authority has not been lost. It was waiting. It was buried beneath whispers and residue. But tonight, it is awake. And when authority awakens, nothing remains the same. Authority doesn't simply appear the day someone recognizes you. It doesn't arrive when others applaud or when opportunities open. Authority begins the moment heaven marks you, long before anyone else notices. That's why some of the most significant battles over your life took place while no one was watching. The enemy knew if he could interfere early, he could slow the fire that would one day draw others out of their chains. Think about the story of David. Before he was ever called king, before he ever held a throne, before people sang his name, he was in the fields, forgotten, overlooked, even by his own family. Yet the oil still found him. The prophet Samuel poured it over his head, and the Spirit of the Lord came upon him from that day forward. David's authority didn't wait for the crown of Israel, it began with the crown of anointing. And notice where the oil touched first, his head. Heaven always begins there. Your life has mirrored this pattern in ways you might not even realize. The rejection you faced wasn't proof that you weren't chosen. It was proof that the anointing on your crown made others uncomfortable. The strange jealousy that rose against you wasn't a reflection of your weakness. It was a sign of your marking. The moments you felt invisible didn't mean you were forgotten. They meant your authority was being developed away from human applause. But here is the danger. When the attack is subtle and stretched over time, you start believing the lie that invisibility is your destiny. You start thinking your silence means heaven has stepped back. Yet heaven has never stepped back. Heaven has only been building your resilience in the shadows. The truth is this: authority cultivated in silence becomes unshakable in public. When your crown shines without applause, it cannot be dimmed when applause fades. The enemy knows this, which is why his goal was never to destroy you in one dramatic moment. It was to wear you down through delay, distraction, and quiet erosion. He wanted you to settle for less, to believe that tiredness was your new normal, to convince you that heaviness was permanent. But heaven is cutting through that lie today. The oil of anointing is flowing again. The crown is being polished, the fog is being lifted, and the assignment on your life is stepping out of hiding. When you treat your crown as sacred, you're not just blessing yourself, you're sending a message into the unseen realm. Angels recognize it and move to guard it. Demons recognize it and back away. Environments respond differently. Conversations take on a new weight, not because you've changed something outwardly, but because you've aligned with what was always true inwardly. There's a reason, Scripture says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Romans 12:2. The renewing begins with remembering what rests on your head. The world teaches you to adapt, to shrink, to downplay. Heaven teaches you to rise, to stand, to guard the mantle that was entrusted to you. And this is where your response matters, because revelation without response always turns into erosion. When heaven reveals, it expects alignment. Don't simply nod at this truth, act on it. Begin to bless your crown daily. Begin to cover it in prayer before you enter hostile places. Begin to reverse every careless word you ever spoke about yourself, because words are not harmless, words are seeds. And many of you have been watering the enemy's plan with your own voice. It's time to stop agreeing with the lie and start declaring the truth. Every time you speak life over your crown, you are not just talking to yourself. You are activating alignment in the spirit realm. You are cleansing residue. You are sharpening your antenna. You are repairing the shield that took blows on your behalf. This may feel small, but it is not small. It is holy. In the same way, Samuel's oil marked David in secret before Israel ever bowed to him. Your declarations mark you in secret before your destiny unfolds in public. What you practice in the hidden place will shape how you stand in the open place. Don't wait for someone else to validate this. Don't wait for external confirmation before you start living in alignment. If you wait for the world to see, you'll delay heaven's timing. Authority begins with recognition from above, not approval from below. So lift your head, not in pride, but in reverence, not in arrogance, but in alignment. Carry yourself as one who understands the weight of what rests upon them. Your crown is not fragile. It is fiercely defended, and when you treat it as holy, heaven moves in ways you cannot yet see. This season is not about blending in, it's about standing apart. The world may dismiss the significance of the crown, but heaven has made it clear, everything flows from the top. If the crown shines, the body follows. If the head is aligned, destiny accelerates. If the mantle is guarded, the mission advances. What the enemy tried to bury in silence, heaven is resurrecting in power, and once resurrection begins, no force of envy, shame, or delay can hold it down again. Your authority is stirring. Your signal is clearing. Your identity is no longer dimmed, it is blazing. The same head that once bowed in weariness is now being lifted by fire. The same crown that once felt heavy is now shining with holy oil. The same person who felt unseen is now stepping into undeniable recognition in the spirit. Heaven has declared it, the throne has confirmed it, and the enemy has no appeal. So walk forward, speak life, guard the crown, because what was once hidden is now revealed, and once revelation comes, the only question that remains is, will you rise? Rise now, do not delay. Step forward as one whose crown has been restored, whose identity has been sealed, and whose authority has been reawakened. For when the crown shines, everything changes. The silence is broken, the mantle is glowing, and your destiny is calling louder than your fears ever did. Every battle that has touched your life has really been about one thing: the enemy's fear of what you carry. He's not obsessed with your looks, your finances, or your personality. His obsession is with your assignment. He fears what happens when you finally realize the weight of what rests on your crown and choose to walk in it without apology. That is why the battle has always been quieter than you expected. A whisper here, a dismissive glance there, a heaviness you couldn't explain. All of it designed to make you question yourself, so that you would stop guarding what heaven sealed. But heaven has always had a different plan. Heaven doesn't just protect, it prepares, and this preparation has not been wasted. Every silent season, every tear no one saw, every night you thought you were forgotten was actually fortifying your authority. The enemy wanted to bury you in weariness. Heaven used it to train you in endurance. This is why you are still standing. Even when you thought you were finished, something in you refused to let go. That something was covenant. That something was heaven's hand, still resting on your head. The oil never dried up. The assignment never expired. You are living proof that even in silence, God is faithful. Now it's time to see clearly what's been hidden. Think of the prophet Elisha's servant in 2 Kings 6. He was terrified by the armies surrounding them, convinced that defeat was inevitable. But Elisha prayed, "Open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see." And suddenly the servant saw hills filled with horses and chariots of fire. The army was still there, but so was heaven's greater force. That prayer didn't change the battlefield, it changed perception. That's what is happening to you now. The battlefield hasn't disappeared. The pressures may still be around you. But heaven is opening your eyes to see what you carry, to see the army stationed on your behalf, to see that the crown on your head is not vulnerable, it is defended. The heaviness you've felt isn't proof of absence, it's proof of assignment. And when assignment is revealed, responsibility follows. You cannot go back to treating your life casually. You cannot keep speaking curses over yourself and expect blessing to flow. You cannot dismiss your crown as if it were vanity, while expecting your authority to blaze. Heaven is saying, guard what I have given, bless what I have blessed, treat as holy what I have called holy. This doesn't mean idolizing the crown, it means recognizing it as a mantle. Every time you tend to it, every time you bless it, every time you cover it in prayer, you are not fussing over appearance, you are protecting alignment. And alignment is what the enemy fears most, because aligned believers are unstoppable. When you align, doors open without you forcing them. Favor flows without you chasing it. Clarity comes without you straining for it, because alignment is heaven's language, and when you speak it, heaven responds. So let your words shift. Replace "I'm tired of myself" with "I am crowned and consecrated." Replace "I'm not enough" with "Every strand is numbered and defended." Replace "I'm fading" with "The oil is flowing again." This is not positive thinking, it is prophetic alignment. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Stop feeding death, speak life, even if your feelings haven't caught up yet. The enemy has tried to convince you that speaking blessing over yourself is arrogance, but arrogance is pretending you earned something. Reverence is acknowledging what heaven gave you. When you bless your crown, you are not inflating yourself, you are honoring the one who sealed you. And as you begin to shift, the atmosphere will respond. Don't be surprised if you notice sudden resistance. Don't be alarmed if certain environments feel heavier at first. That's because the moment you rise in authority, darkness notices. But remember this, resistance isn't proof you're failing, it's confirmation you're stepping into alignment. The enemy doesn't fight what isn't a threat, he only fights what carries weight. So when resistance comes, lift your head higher, declare the truth louder, refuse to shrink. Because authority doesn't beg, it stands. Authority doesn't apologize, it aligns. Authority doesn't fade, it burns brighter under pressure. You've been hidden long enough. The season of silence has trained you, but it cannot define you. You are not what the whispers called you. You are not what envy labeled you. You are not the heaviness you carried. You are crowned, consecrated, and commissioned. And now the veil has been torn away. Walk like one who knows the battlefield is already shifting. Speak like one whose voice carries weight. Carry yourself as one who understands that the crown you wear is not fragile, it is fire. Every step you take now is prophetic. Every word you release now is weaponized with authority. Every place you enter now shifts under your presence. You are no longer overlooked. You are no longer silenced. You are no longer waiting for permission. Heaven has already declared you set apart, and the crown on your head proves it. The war over your identity is losing its grip because your authority is awakening. So rise now. Don't wait for the applause of men. Don't wait for circumstances to confirm what heaven already said. Don't wait for another sign. This is the sign. Lift your head, guard your crown, and walk forward. Because the moment you stop shrinking is the moment the world sees what hell already feared. And once that fire is visible, there is no shadow strong enough to hide it again. The crown has always been yours. The oil has always been flowing, and the assignment has always been waiting. Step into it now, because the time of delay is over and the hour of authority has come. Every cycle in your life that left you drained had a deeper root. It wasn't random setbacks or ordinary discouragement, it was sabotage against your crown. The enemy understood that if he could weaken your head, everything beneath it would eventually bend under the pressure. That is why so many of your battles felt strangely personal, even when they didn't make sense. It was never just about what people said or the stress you carried, it was about targeting your source of authority. The enemy's strategy has always been to keep you distracted by surface issues, so you never look at the real battleground. You think you're fighting co-workers, family members, financial strain, or loneliness. But heaven is showing you the truth. What you've been fighting all along is interference against your crown. It's why the attack was so subtle. It had to feel small enough that you would ignore it, but steady enough that it would wear you down. And this is where heaven is breaking in with clarity. You cannot fight what you refuse to see, but once you see it, once you recognize that your crown has been under siege, you can rise with precision. You stop wasting energy swinging wildly at surface battles, and you start striking the true source. That shift changes everything. Remember what Paul wrote in Ephesians: "We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places." High places, authority structures, headship. This is why your crown was the focus of attack. It represents your high place, your covering, your authority. But here's the truth the enemy doesn't want you to realize. Every strike against your crown has already been recorded in heaven's court, and justice has been set in motion. The chains that drained you are snapping. The residue of shame is burning off. The fog that clouded your discernment is lifting. What the enemy meant for interference, heaven is turning into ignition. You've already felt glimpses of it. The moments when peace rushed in without explanation. The nights when clarity arrived in dreams. The sudden awareness that you were never abandoned. Those weren't coincidences. Those were previews of what is now unfolding fully. The crown is being restored, and restoration always flows downward. This means your voice will sound different. Your prayers will carry new weight. The same words you've spoken before will release new authority now. Because when the crown shines, the voice resonates. When the head is aligned, the words are sharpened. Heaven is reactivating what silence tried to bury. But you must cooperate with this restoration. You cannot continue to curse yourself with careless words. You cannot dismiss your authority as if it were optional. You cannot live like a casual passerby when you've been crowned as a carrier of fire. So start treating your daily life as sacred territory. Every time you step into a room, remind yourself, "I am carrying a mantle." Every time you feel heaviness press against you, declare, "My crown is shield and signal, and heaven defends it." Every time old shame tries to resurface, speak, "The oil is still flowing and my head is not uncovered." And don't underestimate the power of small acts of alignment. Taking 2 minutes to bless your crown in the morning isn't ritual, it's reinforcement. It's like polishing armor before battle. It's like tuning an instrument before the song. When you align at the top, everything beneath it flows in order. The enemy may still try to whisper, but whispers lose power when you stand tall. He may still try to send heaviness, but heaviness breaks when you lift your head. He may still try to stir envy around you, but envy cannot touch what heaven seals. Your responsibility is not to stop every dart, it's to keep your shield raised, and your crown is that shield. This is why you felt such unusual fatigue. It wasn't laziness, and it wasn't failure. It was a sign that your crown was absorbing impact. But now that heaven has revealed the battle, you're no longer fighting blind. You're awake, you're aligned, and you're covered. And here is the beauty of heaven's strategy. The very place you were attacked will become the place you carry testimony. The same crown that was targeted will shine brighter because of the strikes it endured. The scars will turn into seals. The heaviness will become proof of endurance. What tried to make you silent will turn into your story. So don't despise what you went through. Don't curse the seasons you felt unseen. They were forging authority in you. They were proving that even when the fire dimmed, it never died. They were preparing you to carry a mantle with steadiness, not just with emotion. Now step into it. Don't wait for another confirmation. Don't wait for someone else's approval. Heaven's decree is enough. The throne has spoken, the oil has been poured, the crown has been sealed. You are not waiting for anointing, you are walking in it. Lift your head and walk forward, because the enemy's greatest fear has already happened. You've seen the battle for what it is, and once you see, you cannot unsee. Once you rise, you cannot go back. Once the crown shines, the darkness has no place left to cling. Your authority is awake, your mantle is burning, your assignment is calling louder than the whispers, and the only thing left is for you to step fully into what heaven has already written. The lies are falling silent, the fog is dissolving, the heaviness is breaking, and your crown, your shield, your signal, your covenant is shining again with fire that cannot be dimmed. You are not just recovering, you are rising, and when the crown rises, the world will know heaven has spoken. Every generation has those who carry visible crowns made of gold and jewels, but heaven's chosen carry crowns that can't be forged by human hands. Your crown isn't displayed in a palace, it's carried in your being. And because it's invisible to human eyes, many dismissed it as irrelevant. But the unseen world never doubted it. Angels honored it, demons feared it. And that's why your life has been marked by battles others around you never seem to face. You've probably asked yourself, why do I always feel the weight more deeply? Why do rooms affect me differently? Why do words pierce me when others seem unbothered? It's because you are tuned differently. Your crown makes you sensitive to atmospheres that others pass through blindly. What you call overthinking is often discernment. What you call weakness is often signal. And what you've been tempted to curse has always been part of your assignment. That's why the enemy's tactics toward you have been so calculated. He couldn't stop the crown from being placed on you, but he could try to interfere with how you see it. If he could convince you that your sensitivity was a flaw, you would try to numb it. If he could make you think your crown was just appearance, you would neglect it. If he could cloud your discernment, you would walk into traps without even realizing it. But God is tearing that veil apart. The same crown that made you feel burdened is the crown that will now make you effective. What once felt like heaviness will reveal itself as antenna. What once felt like exhaustion will reveal itself as shield. And the very part of you that was mocked will become the part that carries testimony. Think of Samson again. His strength wasn't simply in muscle, it was in covenant. When the covenant tied to his hair was cut, his destiny felt lost. Yet when it grew again, his strength returned. That's not a story of vanity. That's a story of restoration. What was tampered with was re-established. What looked finished was renewed. And the same principle applies to you. The enemy may have tried to tamper with your crown, but heaven never revoked the covenant. This is why you feel a stirring now, even if circumstances haven't changed yet. It's why the same rooms that once drained you will start to feel lighter. It's why your prayers are beginning to carry a weight you didn't notice before, because the crown is realigning, and when the head is set in order, the rest of life begins to fall into place. But heaven won't do this without your agreement. Restoration isn't passive, it requires participation. Every time you bless your crown instead of cursing it, you're reinforcing heaven's decree. Every time you cover it with prayer before entering hostile environments, you're drawing a line in the unseen. Every time you treat it as mantle rather than vanity, you're stepping into alignment, and alignment multiplies authority. That's why delay is dangerous. Delay doesn't just waste time, it corrodes alignment. If the enemy can keep you postponing obedience, I'll pray tomorrow, I'll declare when I feel better, I'll rise when circumstances shift. He can keep your crown dim. But when you move now, when you respond in the moment, heaven's power surges. So today, not tomorrow, begin speaking life again. Lay your hand on your head and declare, this crown is holy, this crown is sealed. No whisper can undo what God has decreed. These aren't empty affirmations, they are spiritual activations. You're not talking to strands, you're talking to covenant. You're not addressing appearance, you're addressing assignment. And as you do, notice what begins to change inside of you. Notice how your confidence shifts. Notice how old shame loses its grip. Notice how dreams that felt dead begin to stir again. Because when you realign the head, heaven releases order into every layer of your life. This isn't theory, it's spiritual law. Oil flows downward, blessing begins at the crown. If the head is guarded, the body is strengthened. If the mantle shines, the mission advances. The enemy has known this from the start, which is why he targeted your head first. But what he forgot is that God always finishes what he begins, and what God seals, no one can unseal. So take courage. The fight you endured wasn't wasted. The heaviness you carried wasn't pointless. It was all pointing to the truth that you've been carrying something holy. And now heaven has pulled back the curtain, and you see it clearly. The choice is in your hands. Continue as if nothing has changed, or rise as though everything has, because the truth is, everything has. You are not ordinary. You are not casual. You are not fading. You are crowned, consecrated, and covered. The same God who numbered every hair has defended every moment. And now he calls you to lift your head and step forward as one who carries a mantle the world cannot understand. And here is where the atmosphere shifts completely. You are no longer the one under attack, you are the one carrying authority. You are no longer the overlooked, you are the one heaven recognizes. You are no longer waiting, you are walking. And the moment you walk in this awareness, every shadow that tried to hold you loses its grip. So walk now, rise now, guard the crown and let it blaze. Because your crown is not fragile, it is fire, and fire cannot be hidden forever. It breaks out, it spreads, it consumes. That is what's happening in you now. The fire of your crown is rising, and the world will not be able to deny it. There comes a moment in every life where the hidden battles can no longer stay hidden. The weight of silence gives way to the roar of heaven, and what was once endured quietly becomes undeniable. That's the season you've stepped into now. The crown that once absorbed every whisper, every dart, every residue of envy and shame is no longer just enduring, it is radiating. And when heaven restores what was attacked, it never restores it to the way it was. It restores stronger, brighter, sharper. Look back at what you've survived. Rooms that drained you, voices that mocked you, nights that felt endless. None of it was wasted. Those environments tried to stain your crown with heaviness, but in reality, they trained your spirit to recognize atmospheres for what they are. You now carry a sensitivity most people don't. You can feel shifts before words are spoken. You can sense storms before they break. That isn't a curse, it's covenant. Your antenna is sharper because of what you've endured. But you need to know this clearly. The enemy will always try to twist your sensitivity into shame. He wants you to think, I'm too much, I'm too fragile, I'm too easily affected. No. You are tuned differently. The same way a harp can pick up vibrations that ordinary wood cannot, your crown is designed to detect shifts ordinary eyes cannot see. What felt like weakness is actually watchtower strength. And heaven is saying now, stop apologizing for what I made holy. Stop shrinking to fit into environments that mock what they can't understand. Stop treating your discernment like an inconvenience. The crown on your head was not meant to blend, it was meant to blaze. This is why kings wore crowns openly. It wasn't decoration, it was declaration, a visible signal that they carried authority no one could strip away. And though your crown may not be made of metal or jewels, the unseen world recognizes it even more. Demons know it, angels guard it, the throne sealed it, and the only one still questioning it has been you. That ends now. When you start to carry yourself as one who knows they are crowned, the atmosphere responds. People sense it even if they can't name it. Opportunities align differently, conversations shift. Doors open that once stayed locked, not because you forced them, but because alignment demands response. Oil flows down, blessing follows order. And when the crown is honored, heaven releases what was held back. But this requires daily choice. You cannot bless your crown one day and curse it the next. You cannot declare authority in prayer and then dismiss yourself in shame. You cannot keep saying, I'm not enough, and expect to walk like one who carries fire. Every word you speak over your head is a seed, and seeds grow whether they are life or death. So begin planting deliberately. Wake up and speak. This crown is holy. Before you step into difficult rooms, declare, my head is covered. When shame tries to rise, counter with, every hair is numbered and defended. These are not nice words, they are strategies. They reinforce the shield, tune the antenna, polish the mantle. They remind the unseen realm that you know what you carry. And when you do this consistently, you will notice something. The heaviness that used to linger begins to evaporate faster. The fog that once stayed for days lifts within hours. The discouragement that once silenced you now becomes a trigger for deeper prayer. This is not imaginary. This is spiritual alignment in action. Understand this. Your crown is not ornamental. It is governmental. It's not there for show, it's there for order. It broadcasts heaven's mark on your life. That's why the enemy targeted it first. If he could interfere with your crown, he could disrupt the flow beneath it. But heaven has reversed the order. What was dimmed is blazing. What was delayed is accelerating. What was mocked is becoming a testimony. Think of it this way. Your crown is like the lamp at the top of a lighthouse. When it's dim, ships crash. When it shines, ships are guided safely. That's you. Your crown is not just about you, it's about those tied to your assignment. And as it shines, others will find direction, clarity, and safety through your presence. That's why you can't neglect it. Too much depends on it. And don't forget, this is not about striving harder, it's about surrendering deeper. You're not trying to prove anything, you're aligning with what was already given. You're not trying to earn a crown, you were born with one. You're not trying to impress heaven, you're cooperating with it. So lift your head, not with arrogance, but with reverence, not with pride, but with purpose. Every step you take is watched, every word you release carries weight. Every room you enter shifts, because your crown signals to the unseen. This one is marked, this one is covered, this one belongs to the throne. And when the crown shines, everything changes. Shadows retreat, whispers lose power, chains loosen, atmospheres bend. And you, the one who once felt unseen, begin to realize you were never invisible. You were hidden for a time, until heaven decided the moment was right to reveal you. That moment is now, not tomorrow, not when you feel more prepared, not when circumstances improve. Now, because the fire on your crown is already burning, and heaven is waiting for you to rise into it fully. So rise, guard your crown, speak life, walk in authority, because what the enemy mocked, heaven has magnified, and what you thought was your weakness is about to be the very proof of your strength. The silence is over, the crown is awake, and when your crown rises, destinies around you will rise too. Every prophecy, every calling, every divine assignment begins in the hidden place. What is crowned in secret is later revealed in public. That's why so many of your hardest battles took place long before anyone recognized you. Heaven marked you quietly, but hell saw it immediately. The moment oil touched your life, even when you didn't yet understand it, you became a target, not because of what you were doing, but because of what you were destined to do. This is why your crown has carried such relentless warfare. It wasn't about appearance, it was about authority. The enemy knew if he could weigh your crown down with shame, residue, and confusion, you'd question your own assignment. You'd spend years second-guessing yourself instead of stepping boldly into what was already written over your life. He didn't need to destroy you, he only needed to delay you. But what he underestimated was heaven's ability to redeem time. What looked delayed to you was still unfolding in perfect order. What looked wasted to you was being used to forge discernment. What looked like silence was really strategy, and now the strategy is being unveiled. Heaven is not only restoring your crown, it is accelerating what the enemy tried to slow. You've carried heaviness like a cloak, wondering if that was simply your personality or your fate. But that cloak was never yours. It was residue clinging to your crown. The constant fatigue, the sense of invisibility, the strange discouragement that came out of nowhere, these weren't character flaws. They were symptoms of interference. And the moment you recognize the interference, it loses its power. That's what is happening right now. Revelation has broken the silence, and with revelation comes responsibility. You cannot unknow this truth. You cannot go back to treating your life as common when heaven has shown you the crown on your head. The only way forward is alignment. Alignment begins with how you speak. Words are not background noise. They are instruments in the unseen realm. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Every time you called yourself unworthy, ugly, not enough, you weren't just expressing feelings, you were reinforcing interference. But when you begin to bless your crown, to call it holy, to declare it sealed and protected, you release authority. You're not flattering yourself, you're agreeing with heaven. And as agreement grows, authority multiplies. The same way oil poured over David's head shifted his destiny, your words spoken over your crown shift your atmosphere. Heaven has always moved through agreement. When you agree with shame, heaviness multiplies. When you agree with truth, light expands. That's why the enemy fought hardest, to control your narrative, to shape how you talk about yourself. because he knows if he can control your voice, he can dull your crown. But that control is broken now. You are learning to speak with clarity, to declare life when heaviness presses, to release truth when lies whisper, to remind your spirit that your crown is shield and antenna, not ornament. And as you do, the atmosphere will begin to bend in your favor. It won't always feel easy at first. Some days the whispers will get louder. Some days the heaviness will try to return. But remember this: resistance isn't failure, it's proof you're advancing. Darkness never resists what isn't a threat. The fact that you feel the pushback is confirmation that your authority is being reawakened. So don't shrink, don't doubt, don't delay. This is the hour to rise. Lift your head, even when it feels heavy. Declare truth, even when your emotions resist. Bless your crown, even when shame tries to silence you. Because authority doesn't wait until you feel strong, it grows the moment you act in faith. Look at what happened to Elisha's servant when his eyes were opened. The armies didn't vanish, the battlefield didn't change, but suddenly he saw that heaven's forces were greater. That shift in vision turned fear into faith, and the same shift is happening to you now. The battlefield hasn't disappeared, but the crown on your head is blazing, and heaven's fire is surrounding you. And here's the promise you need to hold. Once the crown shines, no chain can remain. Once authority awakens, no shadow can silence it. Once alignment begins, acceleration follows. You may have thought you were years behind, but God is about to restore what was lost, not slowly, but suddenly. Because time belongs to Him, and when He redeems it, nothing is wasted. So stand in this truth. You are not overlooked. You are not late. You are not fading. You are crowned. You are sealed. You are anointed. And now you are being revealed not for vanity, but for victory. This is the turning point. The moment heaviness loses its claim. The moment delay breaks. The moment your crown shines so brightly that even the shadows must scatter. Lift your head now, because what once weighed you down has become the proof of what you carry. And when the crown is restored, destiny doesn't crawl forward, it runs. When heaven begins to accelerate, it often feels like everything shifts at once. The same doors that stayed shut for years begin to open in rapid sequence. The same prayers that seemed unanswered start unfolding so quickly it feels overwhelming. And yet, none of this is coincidence. It is the natural consequence of alignment. When the crown is restored, the flow of oil can no longer be blocked. Think of Psalm 133 again. It is like the precious oil poured on the head, running down on the beard, running down on Aaron's robe. Oil never stayed still, it flowed downward. Blessing always begins at the head. That is why the enemy worked so tirelessly against your crown. If he could disrupt the top, the flow beneath it would slow. But now the order has been re-established. The oil is flowing again, and what was stagnant is about to move. Don't be surprised if people begin to notice something different about you. They won't always be able to name it, but they will sense it. Rooms will grow quiet when you walk in. Conversations will shift tone when you speak, not because you've changed your style, but because your authority is active. The crown on your head is signaling to the unseen, and even those who don't understand the language will feel the weight. And yes, this will also stir resistance. Do not be surprised if envy rises against you. Do not be alarmed if certain people pull away. Authority always reveals who is aligned with heaven and who is not. Your crown acts like a spotlight. It exposes motives, reveals atmospheres, and forces hidden things to surface. That's not a curse, that's confirmation. It means your crown is working exactly as heaven designed. The temptation will be to shrink, to make yourself smaller so others feel comfortable. But that's not why you were crowned. You were not anointed to disappear. You were not sealed to stay silent. You were not marked to blend. The fire placed upon your head was meant to blaze, even if it unsettles those around you. This doesn't mean arrogance. Authority rooted in heaven is never arrogant. It doesn't need to boast. It doesn't need to prove. It simply is. When you walk in alignment, the atmosphere testifies for you. Heaven confirms what man may deny. And the same God who sealed you is the one defending you, whether people celebrate you or not. So guard your heart from comparison. Don't waste energy wondering why others aren't facing the same battles you have. Their crown is not your crown. Their mantle is not your mantle. What you've endured has forged a depth in you that cannot be copied. and the authority you carry now was purchased through fire. That's why it feels heavier, but it's also why it will prove unstoppable. You may feel the weight of responsibility more sharply in this season, and that is good. Weight is a sign of glory. The Hebrew word for glory, kabod, literally means weight. Heaven has added weight to you because you can carry it. The same heaviness that once made you feel crushed is now revealing itself as glory resting on your crown. This is why the next steps of your life must be intentional. You can't afford casual decisions anymore. You can't keep entering hostile environments uncovered. You can't speak carelessly about yourself or others and expect the flow to remain pure. You must live with reverence. You must treat your crown like holy ground. Every choice you make now either polishes or clouds the mantle, and heaven is calling you to vigilance. But don't mistake vigilance for fear. You don't guard your crown because it's fragile. You guard it because it's sacred. You guard it because heaven has invested so much into it. You guard it because everything tied to your destiny flows from it. And when you guard it, heaven multiplies what flows through you. So walk forward with boldness. Lift your head high, not in pride, but in recognition. Let your crown shine without apology. When shame whispers, answer with truth. When heaviness presses, lift your voice in blessing. When doubt creeps in, remind yourself, every strand is numbered, every hair is counted, every part of my crown is defended by the throne. This is not about survival anymore. Survival was the season of silence. This is about movement, momentum, acceleration. The oil is flowing, and nothing can hold it back. You are stepping into a season where the same authority that once felt hidden will now be undeniable. Heaven has declared it, the crown confirms it, and your steps will testify to it. So move, don't delay, don't hide, don't shrink. Your crown is blazing, and the time of silence has ended. Walk as one marked, one sealed, one defended. Because when the crown rises, destiny doesn't crawl, it runs. And right now, destiny is running toward you. The battles you endured were never meant to bury you. They were meant to prove you. And now the proof rests upon your head, shining brighter than the shame that once weighed you down. You are crowned, you are covered, you are called, and the fire on your crown is the very evidence that your assignment has entered its awakening. Every crown carries a cost. What you've endured wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The pain wasn't random, it was forging the kind of authority that can't be shaken when storms rise. If you wonder why your path felt lonelier, heavier, or more misunderstood than those around you, it's because the mantle on your head demanded refinement. Heaven was never careless with your journey. Every delay, every rejection, every silent battle was sharpening the fire that now burns in you. You see, authority cannot be borrowed, it cannot be copied, it is carried, and what rests on your head has been earned through endurance and sealed by covenant. That's why others may look at you and never understand the depth of your story. They see fragments, but they don't see the nights you cried when no one noticed. They don't see the moments you questioned if you were even chosen. They don't see the countless times you almost gave up. Yet here you are still standing, still crowned, still burning. And heaven's decree over you has not shifted. Before you were born, it was spoken. Before your failures, it was written. Before your battles, it was sealed. Jeremiah records God's words. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. That truth has never been revoked. No whisper, no curse, no rejection has been strong enough to cancel what heaven already declared. But now the time of waiting is closing. The season of silence is ending. Heaven is calling you to step fully into what you carry, not partially, not occasionally, but fully. Because the world doesn't need another voice repeating what has already been said, it needs the fire that only burns on your crown. And here's the sobering truth. When you shrink, destinies around you remain bound. When you delay, prayers connected to your voice remain unanswered. When you hide, assignments tied to your mantle remain unfulfilled. This was never just about you. It has always been about those connected to your calling. That's why the enemy invested so heavily in silencing you. If he could mute your crown, he could mute the ripple effect tied to it. But no more. The muting is over. The interference is broken. Heaven has declared, it's time. And once heaven says it's time, nothing can stop the unfolding. The gates that resisted you are trembling. The barriers that mocked you are collapsing. The oil that seemed delayed is pouring. So rise with confidence. Stop apologizing for your fire. Stop second-guessing your discernment. Stop downplaying the mantle on your head to make others comfortable. You are not here to fit in, you are here to blaze. Your crown was never meant to blend, it was meant to burn. The question is no longer whether you are crowned. The question is, will you carry it with reverence? Will you guard it daily, speak life over it, and walk as one who knows heaven has entrusted them with weight? Because the weight you feel isn't burden, it's glory. The heaviness that rests on you isn't punishment, it's proof. Proof that heaven trusted you with responsibility. Proof that your story was never ordinary. Proof that you are chosen. And understand this, crowns are not casual. They are governmental. They signify jurisdiction. They declare authority. When you walk in alignment, the unseen realm recognizes it. Angels respond. Demons retreat. Atmospheres bend. That's why everything shifts when you lift your head. It's not just posture, it's proclamation. It signals to the unseen that heaven's fire is active in you. So lift it now. Lift it not in pride, but in purpose. Not to prove, but to proclaim. You are marked, you are sealed, and you are stepping into the fullness of what was always written. The time of shadows has ended. The time of silence has expired. This is the season of revelation, where the crown that was hidden will blaze openly, and no one, no power, no whisper, no curse can extinguish it again. Lift your head and walk forward, because your crown is not just survival, it is signal, and that signal is roaring now, summoning every locked door to open and every chain to break. The mantle is blazing, the crown is burning, and the world is about to see what heaven has always known. Every message we've carried until now has been building toward this moment. The unveiling of your crown wasn't for curiosity, and the revelation of your battle wasn't just for encouragement, it was for activation. Heaven never speaks just to inspire, heaven speaks to awaken. And what is awakening in you now is not a gentle reminder, it is a summons to step into the fullness of your calling without hesitation. Look back at your journey. You've walked through shadows that could have swallowed you. You've endured silence that made you question whether you were forgotten. You've felt the heaviness of whispers, mockery, envy, and rejection. And yet, every time, something in you refused to let go. That something was covenant. That something was the oil that never dried. That something was the crown that could be clouded but never removed. The enemy targeted your head because he feared your voice. He pressed against your crown because he feared your authority. He tried to bury you in weariness because he feared the fire you carry when fully awake. And now the very thing he feared is happening. You are awake. This isn't about cosmetics, appearance, or vanity. It never was. This is about governance. This is about the unseen order of heaven manifesting in the natural. Your crown is a signal to the spiritual realm that you carry divine jurisdiction. It declares, this one belongs to the throne. This one walks under heaven's covering. This one carries weight. That's why the battle was fierce. But that's also why the breakthrough is undeniable. Every chain meant to silence you is breaking. Every residue meant to dull you is burning away. Every curse whispered against you is being overturned by the decree of heaven. You are not just walking free, you are walking anointed. You are not just recovering, you are rising. And now comes the charge. Carry your crown with reverence. Guard it with vigilance. Bless it with your words. Protect it in prayer. Walk with it as one who knows that when the head is aligned, destiny flows. When the crown shines, chains fall. When authority awakens, nothing remains the same. This is also why you've been drawn here, to this community, to this mission. Many voices clamor for attention, and yes, oversubscription makes it harder to hear what truly matters. But heaven will always ensure the ones marked by fire arrive at the table they were meant to sit at. You are here because the message was meant for you. And heaven is confirming, one final time, you are not forgotten, not delayed, not ordinary. You are crowned. So what do you do now? You rise, you speak, you guard, you walk forward as one who knows their crown is not fragile, it is fire. You stop apologizing for your discernment. You stop delaying obedience. You stop shrinking when the atmosphere resists. Instead, you blaze, because that is what you were designed to do. And as you blaze, others will find light in your fire. The crown you guard will not just protect you, it will signal to those bound in chains that freedom is near. Your fire will become their guide. Your authority will break their silence. your mantle will point them back to the throne. This is the ripple effect of your obedience. This is the weight of your crown. And this is why heaven roared when you thought you were forgotten, because the assignment tied to your life is too important to be lost in shadows. So stand tall now. Lift your head, not in pride, but in reverence. Place your hand on your crown and bless it. Speak with clarity, walk with courage, live with fire. Because this is not coincidence, this is not suggestion, this is heaven's summons. The season of delay has ended, the age of hiding is closed, the crown is blazing, and your destiny is running forward with it. You are sealed, you are chosen, you are crowned, and the fire on your head is the signal the world has been waiting for. Heaven has spoken, the earth will see, and nothing, no whisper, no curse, no chain can undo what God has already sealed.